guys, I am Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Club Grayskull Filmation style Man-E-Faces. So it's a brand new Man-E-Faces action figure, this time based on the way he appeared in the original He-Man cartoon series. As you can see, he does come in that nice Club Grayskull packaging, which has got a great Castle Grayskull motif here, with the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe logo kind of floating out in space on the back of the box. And this right here is a nice slipcover that, when removed, reveals a window box within, fully showcasing our new Man-E-Faces action figure and all his Man-E weapons. He's got a lot of cool accessories there, which is going to be a lot of fun to take a look at. When we flip this around to the backside, we've got a great animated image of Man-E-Faces standing in front of Castle Grayskull, and down below that, we've got a brand new bio for the character. So let's go ahead and get Man-E-Faces pulled out of the packaging and get a closer look at him. Alright, now we can take a closer look at Man-E-Faces outside of the packaging. So you look at this guy and he looks like Man-E-Faces, but the thing that makes him stand out from previous incarnations is that he does have a much more simplified sculpt. This, of course, like the rest of the Filmation figures, is to make him look much more like he appeared in that animated series. So we don't have all the crazy techno details or anything like that, specifically that we saw with the previous Classics version of Man-E-Faces. Instead, you can see there's a lot more smooth textures going on here. But all in all, he still looks great. In fact, he's a fantastic sculpt, and overall I think the paint deco is great on this guy because it's clean, it's bright, and the plastic actually feels really good on him, so I don't really feel like I'm gonna paint or chip off the paint or anything like that on the actual body here, which looks really nice. One of the things we really have to talk about here is something that has been on Man-E-Faces forever and is suddenly missing. There's no knob on top of his head. Now, the reason for this is because he didn't have that knob on top of his head in the cartoon, so they opted to remove that. But what does that mean? Does that mean that we can still turn his faces? Well, good news, yes, you can still rotate his faces so that he has his Man-E-Faces. The only difference is that you kind of have to just use your thumb or your finger to rotate the face yourself. It works, it's functional. As you can see, I just rotated over to his classic green monster face. Again, a little less detailed than what we saw before, but still looks exactly like the monster face, especially out of the cartoon series. And I can try to rotate that again. You can see right now that I am struggling a little bit to get a good grip on it. So this definitely takes a little bit of work. And that way you can switch him to his third face, which is his robot face. Again, a little more simplistic, but still looks like his robot face. So that is definitely something worth talking about. It's functional, it works, but it is a bit complicated. You're going to struggle with it because sometimes it's really hard to get a good grip on it and rotate it. I thought maybe the helmet might be removable to make it easier, but no, this helmet does not look like it comes off the figure. So it's all about using your thumb to rotate it, and it is a bit tricky sometimes, but it can be done. So aside from that, let's talk about the rest of the articulation on this guy. As you just saw, otherwise we can't turn his head. So we can kind of rotate his head inside if you want to get him to look slightly left or slightly right, but you know, it's Man-E-Faces. It's pretty typical for this particular character. Otherwise, he does have the ball joints at the shoulders. I do like how there's no like joint showing up on the top. That's really cool because it still functions very well. So that's really, really nicely done. And they're tight joints. They move forwards and backwards. You got swivels at the bicep. You got real tight kind of ratchet joints there at the elbows. You got the swivel at the hands as well as the hinge joint at the hands. You do have the ab crunch. You've got the waist swivel. You have the thigh joints there, so the legs can go outwards. They can move forwards and backwards, as well as swivel at the thighs. You've got really tight ratchet joints at the knees there. Look at that. They are real tight, which is nice. And then there's nothing in the boot cut because of the way that the sculpt is. They didn't want to break up the sculpt. So aside from that, we just have ankles that can move forwards and backwards, as well as slightly rock side to side there. So all in all, it's pretty much what we'd expect for articulation. And on this guy, it's really nice and tight all the way through. I don't have any issues with him standing or posing or anything like that. So let's go ahead and talk about his accessories, because as I showed you in the package, he's got quite a few weapons. He's got many weapons. He's got a lot going on here. So let's go ahead and start by taking a look at this right here, which is modeled after his classic toy orange blaster. You can see it's a little more simplified, though it is quite a bit more detailed than we've seen out of a lot of the Filmation accessories. And right now, before we talk about all these weapons, this is one other thing I want to show you. The hands, the plastic used on the hands are actually really hard. They're really stiff. And as you can see, it takes a lot of work to actually get the guns positioned in his hands. And as a result, you can see where I've already scratched off a lot of paint on the handle of this particular gun, which is a big bummer. I've run into that a lot with a lot of these Filmation figures, and I kind of attribute it to this flat paint deco that they're using on the weapons. It seems like they don't have like a coat on them or anything, so they scratch right off very easy, especially with the hard hands with the very tight grip. So it's definitely something that you want to watch out for. I really wish that the paint wasn't scratching off the way it is. So aside from his classic toy orange gun, we've also got this smaller, very much more Filmation looking blaster. You can see it's a lot more simplified. It is done in a blue plastic. He can hold it in either one of his hands. The grip on this isn't quite as tight as it is with that orange one, but still something you definitely want to be careful with when placing in his hands. If the small little handguns aren't your thing, he's also got this larger gun, which is very cool because it's got like an axe blade on it as well. So I guess this could double as a blaster or a little battle axe there if he needs to for close combat. Very cool looking weapon. The blue matches up with the rest of his armor there. I actually like this weapon quite a bit. Then he's got this crazy, like, spinning machete kind of weapon. It's just molded in a solid gray. So this one's actually not painted, so there won't be any paint scratches or anything here. It's pretty cool. He actually gets a better grip on this. In fact, as you can see, it's a little looser than those others. He had that real tight grip on those others. But it's cool that it actually spins. I like that. That's a really fun accessory. It's either a machete or it's a pinwheel. Whee! And lastly, he's got this large lance with this little hook on the end of it. That is pretty cool. And it actually does have like some little sculpting on there. Like it's kind of like a techno lance or something. Looks like something Man-at-Arms might have designed for sure. But I thought that was a really neat accessory. Something that we don't really see a lot in the Classics line. All right, guys. It's comparison time. So here is the new Filmation version of Man-E-Faces standing alongside his Masters of the Universe Classics counterpart, where you can really see the difference between these two because they went to town on the details on the Classics version. So he actually looks quite a bit different than this other version here, but this new one does a great job of looking the way he did in the cartoon series. So it's all about your preference, and I think it's pretty cool that we've got these different options. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at the Filmation style Man-E-Faces from the folks at Super 7. All in all, this is another very solid figure. Sure, the face is a bit difficult to change. I kind of miss the knob, but again, I understand why the knob's not there, and it still works. It's still functional. It might just take a little bit of work if you want to get them posed a specific way. My only gripe, once again, is the paint chipping off the weapons because of the harder hands, but otherwise, I feel like he's a very solid action figure with an overall good paint deco, really nice sculpt, and solid articulation. So this guy was available by pre-order only, like all of Super 7's figures in this particular lineup. So if you missed out on him, your only chance to pick him up at this point is to get him on the secondary market. Otherwise, I would stay tuned to super7.com for information on any future releases. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, leave me a comment to let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.